Using your feminine energy in business can be a massive superpower that not only helps you make more money, but also makes it easier in your relationships once you're off the clock and done working. So if that's something that you're interested in hearing about, then make sure to stick around until the end, because I'm going to be sharing some tips that a lot of these women out here in the YouTube feminine energy space don't even know what they're talking about because they've never actually run a business. But I have. Hi, my name is Amanda Abea. Welcome to this channel where we talk all about how to manifest what you desire in life without all the extra stress, chaos, and drama that most people are accustomed to. So if that's something that you're interested in, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single video that we have coming out on this channel. And make sure to give this video a like and share it with women in your life. Lately, we've been talking a lot more about masculine energy, feminine energy. We've been talking about relationships, how to manifest provider men. You all are loving the provider men content. Save a sister, share it with her, because there's a lot of craziness going on out here in relationships, and we need to get this information out to as many women as humanly possible so we can start shifting the dynamics in our society to something that's a lot healthier for men, women, and future generations. And for those of you who've been asking if I do one-on-one sessions, I did open up my calendar for some one-on-one sessions specifically for this audience and this YouTube channel. The only caveat is I don't know how long I'm going to be able to have this available because this is not the main gig in my life or in this household. So I don't know how long it's going to be available. And as the channel grows, then I'm going to have less and less time to do one-on-one sessions. But for those of you who've been asking, yes, I made some time. It's first come, first serve, and it's whatever is available in my spare time when I have time to do it. You can find the link to that below. All right, let's get into it. How to use feminine energy in business. So let me give you a little bit of background before I talk about, present day. My background is that way before I met my husband, I spent about 7 to 8 years in the financial space. I was doing marketing for banks. I was a financial educator. I would get hired as a spokesperson. I learned a lot about the marketing world, the media world, finance, all those kinds of things. And then I shifted into teaching people how I build that business, right? Because a lot of people were asking me, how'd you do it? And I'm like, you got to learn how to market and sell. So I had a training company where I was teaching marketing and sales. And then right when I met my husband is when I was starting to go through some transitions in my life and in my career where I realized I needed to make some really big shifts in how I made money. And if you've seen any of my videos previously, I've talked about like the really deep stuff that was going on for me that maybe may resonate with you. The reason I was pushing so hard in my career was to avoid relationships altogether, because I had been taught, for my own safety and stuff like that, that the world is a dangerous place. You can't trust men. Men are incompetent. Men are going to hurt you. They're going to abuse you. They're going to take advantage of you. So you need to make sure that you know how to take care of yourself. Well, I did a really damn good job taking care of myself to the point where men didn't want to take care of me, right? Which then led to some other problems, and perhaps some of you watching this video can relate to that. In addition to that, most of my mentors, and to be honest, my best mentors, if I'm being completely honest, in business were men. So the template that was provided for me was a very masculine template. Now, on the one hand, this was actually pretty awesome because I got to see what healthy masculine energy looks like in business, in career. I was colleagues with men who, for example, would say, hey, the reason I'm pushing so hard is for my future wife and kids. The reason I'm pushing so hard is so my wife doesn't have to work. The reason I'm pushing so hard is so my kids can do X, Y, and Z. So I was exposed to a lot of like very healthy masculine behavior in a lot of instances, which was great because it gave me like a template of maybe something I would be interested or what I'm looking for. But at the same time, they were teaching me to run businesses like a man because that's what men know how to do. So it was a lot of like the hustle culture stuff. And then also, again, on the flip side, it was good because I learned how to receive assistance from men, because I think it's Cody Sanchez who says this, that, men in the workplace, they either want to like father you, like be like your mentor. They want to be your friend and help you in that way, or they want to F you, and you just have to decide, which bucket the men in your workplace go into. And I was like, you know what? She's right. Unfortunately, a lot of women don't know how to make that distinction and they get themselves into problems, but that's a conversation for another time. So learning business from men and being in industries that were pretty male dominated on the one hand was great because I did get to see really healthy examples of masculine men. And I made a lot of friends with men who would give me a lot of insights in terms of relationships and dating and stuff like that. But on the other hand, it wasn't so great because I was taught to, push like a man because that's what they know how to do. And eventually that all came crashing down on me. That combined with I was pushing so hard to avoid being in relationship to begin with to keep myself safe. So eventually that all crashed and burned. So by the time I met my husband, I was already in that transition where I was on my way out of my last business and my last career. And I was very interested in finding a career or a life where I could be a lot more in my feminine energy. And within the first 4 months of starting to come back from everything falling apart, I met my husband, who's been instrumental in this journey for me. So what have I been trying to figure out the last 2 years? How to run business and make money from a more feminine perspective, especially as I go through career transitions. Because, and to be honest, my whole life transitioned. I met my husband, I moved to another country, everything transitioned all at once. Talk about quantum leaping, right? If you guys want me to do a video on quantum leaping, let me know in the comments. But the last thing that I've been trying to figure out how to transition is, career and making money. And thankfully, I have a husband who is very healthy in his masculine and he's very much a provider. So he's been very helpful in that regard. Both in terms of taking on the provider role in a lot of ways, but also as given me time to experiment and see kind of, what clicks and what doesn't, which I very much appreciate because I know, especially from the comments and the one-on-one sessions, a lot of what I'm hearing is that a lot of these husbands out here are not give their wives any time and space to go figure out, what makes them happy because they're like, you got to pay half the bills or you got to pay all the bills or I'm not working, so you got to go pay bills. And then women feel like they're under a lot of pressure. So I'm very grateful that my husband has given me that space and that patience to go experiment because ultimately at the end of the day, he doesn't want me to have to work. I work because I want to and because it's fun and I have a lot to say. And I have a lot of energy, right? But it's not because I necessarily have to, if that makes sense. So my husband has given me a lot of that space. So part of what I've been figuring out, right, is, okay, well, how can I run businesses in more ways that are more in alignment with my feminine energy? And in my case, I happen to marry a man who is really good at the more structural parts of a business. So in my case, I always knew that I was very good, and this is the feminine energy part. I was always very good at the creative side of things, at the marketing side of things, tapping into what people are feeling. I'm really good at that. Tapping into trends. I'm super good at all that stuff. Anything administrative or operations or anything like that, I'm horrible. Anything tech, I'm horrible. So I got lucky insofar as my husband's really good at that stuff. That's stuff I'm really bad at. So in terms of, now that's a particular instance. And part of the reason why I was burning out so bad before I met my husband is because I didn't understand that stuff, right? I was not naturally good at systems and structures and operations and admin stuff. And I'm not naturally good at those things. But what I was doing was that I was taking all that stuff on. And that's part of what caused my burnout. And I think where a lot of women are right now, and of course this has to do with where your natural talents lie, I think a lot of women in business are in positions right now where they're doing too damn much, which is exactly where I was. Some of you have team and you're doing too damn much because that team isn't bringing you in any money and instead you're paying for everybody's salary. So you're working your buns off trying to make sure that all the bills are paid, which is no different than being in a relationship with a man who is not providing. Okay, it's really not. I've worked with women in business capacity, and the same issues they're having in business, I see it playing out with their men a lot of times. So a lot of your positions where perhaps you have team employees, all this kind of stuff, but they're not actually contributing to the point where you need them contributing, and then you're the one with the load on your back. And I would not be surprised if you're seeing something similar happen in your relationships, right? In your romantic partnerships. So a lot of women are being overburdened by doing too damn much in their businesses. So step one would be to find support, and support that's actually good, and support that's actually contributing, support that's actually growing your business, not just you paying for everybody's salary while they coast. There's a lot of that going on too. The second thing, right, is that you need to have, it's going to sound kind of counterintuitive, but you do need to have more masculine structures in a business so you can thrive more in your feminine. And again, this is going to go back to asking for help, because some of you are going to be more like me, where you're more naturally creative, right? And you're really good at that aspect of things. You have an eye for things, you have a sense for things, you can tap into intuition and stuff like that. You're very creative, you've got idea after idea after idea after idea. Some of you are going to be more like me, in which case you're going to need to add in a lot more structure, but that structure doesn't need to be done by you. And that's the important part. So number one, hire the right people, but number two, get a lot more tech and automations in place. Now, again, I lucked out that my husband literally is a genius at those things and did it for a living for 15 years. So even with this YouTube channel, for example, if you're clicking on links or getting automated emails or all that kind of stuff, like, he helped me build all that stuff, because I'm fatal, as we say in Spanish, when it comes to those things. And that's part of what was burning me out before, is I was trying to figure all that stuff out on my own, or just with the capability that I had. So you may need to find somebody, even if it's hiring them, to really build out what these systems are. Because, for example, you want to be able to eventually get in a position where we are right now, where, business comes to us, basically, from our YouTube channels. Like, this YouTube channel started making passive income. And that's why I was like, you know what? Probably should spend a little bit more time on there now that I have the data. The other YouTube channel is more about the relocation business, which is more my husband's jam. He does more of the operations and the services for that business. Most of the business comes to us through YouTube, and then everything behind the scenes is basically automated. So eventually you want to get to a point in your business where you've got enough structures in place, either through team or through automations and technology and things like that, where most of the grunt work is already being done automatically, or most of the structural work is being done automatically, and then you can spend more time in more of the feminine energy tasks, which is doing marketing, right? Doing videos, building connections, building community. That's all more feminine energy stuff. Or you just have more time to work on your energy, period. Because part of what was happening to me in my previous career and businesses is that I was so overworked and overburdened, and I explained all the reasons why and all the factors contributing to that, is that I didn't even have time to work on my own energy and my own rest. It got to a point where I didn't have time to work out. I wasn't sleeping very much. I couldn't even sit down to meditate for 5 minutes because I was so anxious from all the pressure that I was feeling. So sometimes, right, it's a matter of not even just building all these things so you can make more money. It's also building these things so you can actually take care of yourself and rest and have more time and space. Because if you are a more feminine energy woman, like I am, you probably get your best ideas when you're doing nothing. And if you're looking to cultivate more feminine energy, you need to spend more time resting. So I spent 2 years not necessarily doing nothing, but experimenting and not working, or 3 years not working as hard as I used to. Again, that's partially thanks to my husband. But in that downtime, that's when I was like, oh, I have an idea for a YouTube channel to talk about, Americans and British people and Canadians living in other countries like we do. Boom, that turns into a business. That's when, if in my downtime, when I get an idea like, oh, you know what, I'm going to do this workshop thing and I'm going to put it on Facebook, and boom, it's making sales in 24 hours. When I have that downtime and I have that rest, that's when I can see like the bigger picture of things and how they all work together. But if I'm so overworked and stressed out that I don't have downtime, I can't tap into that. I can't tap into it at all. right? And then, I can't problem solve, although my husband solves a lot of the problems now. But I can't figure out marketing campaigns because that's all very creative, intuitive stuff for me. So I need the time to chill. And the final thing that I'm going to say is that you need to focus on things that are more leveraged. So a lot of people are trading time for money. Now you might say, oh, Amanda, you're offering one-on-one sessions right now. The reason why I'm doing that now is because this is a brand new project, right? So I'm going to offer one-on-one sessions, number one, to get practice in, but number two, because it's also really good market research for me. And I'm in the beginning stages of a project. Given 6 months, I won't be doing it anymore, right? So there's time and place as well, and that's important to point out. But the point that I'm trying to make here is you need to focus on things that are more leveraged, right? So in previous businesses, for example, I would teach group programs or courses instead of doing one-on-one time. Or for example, one thing that we've really focused on heavily in the last year is YouTube through 2 different channels, this one being one of them, which was a fun creative project for me, and now it's turned into a business, right? So through YouTube, because YouTube is leverage. What do I mean by that? You want to focus on things where, like, let's say you take one action, but it's going to give you like 10 times the result. And YouTube is the perfect example because here's what most people are doing. Most people are out dancing on TikTok or writing 10 posts on Facebook a day. I will do that if I have time. Instead, what I would rather do is focus on YouTube, because if I make one video, and of course I've learned how to do all this stuff, and I do actually have a course that teaches you everything I'm about to say, so I will leave it in the comments below. But let's say, right, if I learn how to do YouTube really well, so I learned the search engine optimization, I learned how to optimize each video, I learned how to get these videos to show up on search results, then guess what happens? I film one video and it brings me business for years to come because I'm the honeypot attracting the bees. Does that make sense, right? And it's much easier to do that on things like YouTube, where you can take advantage of YouTube search and Google search than it is to do it on anything else. So I do have a course that I've taught a couple times. Now you can get it on demand. It's called the YouTube Mastery Workshop for those of you who have businesses and you want to leverage the power of YouTube. Because, for example, this channel gets traffic from both YouTube and Google. And then you've got people booking sessions on autopilot without me really doing much of anything except making videos. Course sales automatically. The other business, it's a lot more involved because we're helping people with immigration and find real estate and helping them move to another country. So that's a different story, right, over on that. And again, that's mostly my husband's jam because he's good at operations. But all the business comes to us. People are attracted to us. And that's a very feminine way of doing marketing rather than writing 10 times a day on Facebook or dancing on TikTok for no apparent reason. It's about being very strategic and learning how to attract people to you, not just one time, not just for 48 hours, but for years to come. Because when you start building that in, right, then money starts to come to you more easily. That's like the structural part. Again, YouTube Mastery Workshop.com to get like all the logistics and the SOP and the step-by-step process of how YouTube works and how to get it to bring you business. The energetic part of YouTube that I really enjoy is the fact that I provide a lot of value through videos. Universe is like, okay, so-and-so is providing a lot of value. You find me, right? And then I get value in return in the form of money just for sharing things that help people. That's it from the energetic standpoint. And YouTube is just a more leveraged way of, and a work smart, not hard kind of way of sharing things that help people. All right, had to readjust the camera there, but we are back. So next thing I'm going to talk about in terms of how to use more feminine energy in your business, and this is so crucial, especially if you want to attract more abundance and more money in a way that's more pleasurable, is to literally have some damn fun, right? So a lot of what I see, and I've also gone through this, and it depends what stage of business that you're in, is that a lot of you are just not even really having fun. You're doing things out of obligation. You're doing things because you think you're supposed to be doing it, but you haven't really, a lot of you haven't necessarily tapped in or clicked in to the thing that it is that you're supposed to be doing. Right now, again, I've been right there with you. I've chilled out the last 3 years or so, experimenting with a lot of things and spending a lot of time in meditation, figuring out what the next move is, what's my career, what's my purpose supposed to look like? Is my purpose connected to my career? I get it, right? Um, However, I can tell you, for example, I will use the Entrepreneur Expat project as an example, the relocation business that my husband runs and I help him with. That is the fastest growing entrepreneurial project we've ever seen. We each had been in business over 15 years or 10 years before we met each other. And we've done a lot of things, okay? Both of us, before we even met each other in terms of business and experiments and projects and brands, the fastest growing one ever. One of the reasons why is because it's so freaking fun to us. Like, what is not fun about living in other countries? What is not fun about seeing what real estate is available in other countries? And in my husband's case, he loves to solve very complicated problems for people, and moving abroad has a lot of logistics and a lot of complicated problems. So that's fun for him. So when you're doing things that are actually fun, you're more motivated to actually do the things that you're supposed to do to bring in the money. This channel started as a fun side project for me, and then it started bringing in money. So I was like, okay, but because I enjoy doing it, then this right here, like filming this video, doesn't feel like a drag. In my previous business, doing anything related to marketing started to feel like a total drag because I just wasn't that into it anymore. I wasn't having fun with it. It wasn't getting me going. It wasn't inspired by it. I was like, okay, fine, help people make more money in their businesses. Like, who cares, honestly? Whereas in the other businesses, it's like, oh, help people move abroad and then, they change their whole lives, or help people have better relationships and that changes their whole lives, or help them manifest and that changes. That's actually fun and inspiring and stuff we can talk about over and over and over again. And it actually energizes us rather than drains. So that's one thing to keep in mind, right? Is to do things that are actually fun. I find a lot of times women are in businesses that they don't even enjoy. That's really dragging them down, or they're in careers that they don't enjoy, or that they're dragging them down. And life is just too damn short. And you can make money in way too many ways, especially now with the internet, to have to tolerate that in your life. That's how I feel about it. Final point, and this is for those of you who consider yourselves to be good girls, or you are more perfectionists, which is very masculine energy to try and be a perfectionist, is you have to be okay with being polarizing. Okay, let me explain this. So a confident feminine woman doesn't really care what other people think about her. Now, she will read a room and she will adjust accordingly, but she knows where her values are. She knows where she stands. She's not afraid to share things publicly that are going to attract attention, not like super negative attention. I'm not talking about thirst trap photos here on Instagram. I'm talking about things that attract attention for your business, but she's not afraid to put herself out there. She's not afraid of ruffling some feathers. Again, right? There's a difference between doing this naturally because it's who you actually are and how you actually feel versus forcing it. Okay, big difference. I'm talking about it being very natural in you. That's the more feminine way of doing things. If you're forcing it to try and get attention, number one, it's not going to work. Number two, you're probably not going to get the attention that you're looking for. Number three, you're going to be exhausted, right? I'm talking more about, for example, this channel, I've gotten some people debating in the comments just because I have certain opinions. The Entrepreneur Expat channel, same thing. I mean, on that channel, we could literally say the sky is blue in Mexico and somebody's going to be upset. But the point is that we're not using feminine energy. A lot of people think feminine energy is like, oh, I'm going to be perfect and I'm going to be, the word that came to mind was docile, but that's not the word I'm looking for. Very pleasant, right? I'm going to be very accommodating. And the truth is, like, the feminine does have boundaries and the feminine does have opinions. She's not a doormat. And she knows where she stands on things. Now, she's not forcing her opinion down your throat. That's the difference. Masculine women will force their opinion down your throat, and make an argument and try and make a point. Whereas feminine women are just like, here it is, take it or leave it. They don't particularly care. So that's that's the final point, because I know some of you get very tripped up in your heads about, I have to look a certain way. It needs to be this figured out. I need to make sure I'm accommodating. I need to make sure I'm pleasing. And I've seen it happen, particularly women who are coming from like corporate jobs and moving into their own businesses. There's almost like a mold that they have to break because they've had to be so perfect in a corporate that they're like robots, right? So don't be a robot. Have opinions. It's okay to be polarizing. Have some fun. So those are the ways that you can use a lot more feminine energy in business to attract more money. And the cool thing is that if you learn to use more feminine energy in business, it's not going to drain you as much. So you're not going to feel burnout. You're not going to feel drained. You're going to feel more energized, more rested. And then that can only, create positives both for your finances and also in other parts of your life, like your relationships. So let me know if this was helpful for you in the comments below. A lot of you have been asking about business and how to balance all the stuff. So, and if you found it helpful, give it a like. And remember, save a sister. Share this with a friend to save a sister, because there's way too much foolery going on out here with men, and we don't need to be tolerating that foolery. So save a sister by sharing this video with a friend. Make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything that we got coming out on this channel. If you would like one of those limited time one-on-one sessions with me, the link is below. It is as is available, and for as long as I'm able to do it, I will do it. So make sure to book that below if you are interested, and I'll catch you on the next one.